foxhole in, I guess, right?
Well,
or that was the foxhole one.
That was the foxhole one.
This Amateur Radio Roundtable is brought to you in part by ICOM America.
All right, hello to everyone out there on the internet and also listening on International Shortwave. This is Amateur Radio Roundtable. I'm Tom Medlin, W5KUB. I think we got a great show lined up for you tonight. Hey, if you're new to the show and you've been listening on shortwave, you can actually join the show if you have internet access. You can go to W5KUB.com and you can watch the show and actually get in a chat room and actually interact with us and all of our guests. So we'd love to have you there. This is Tuesday, June the 16th, and boy, time is flying. We've got some great co-hosts with us tonight. Katie is not going to be with us tonight. She sent me a note earlier. She's packing up and heading to Connecticut. Now, I'm not sure the reason she's going up to Connecticut, but she's traveling, but she said she'll be back with us next week. 40-meter net went pretty good tonight. And the band was kind of up and down, but we had about 20 or 30 contacts on the 40-meter net tonight. It meets every Tuesday night at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. That'll be about 23:30, I think, UTC. So please think about joining us on the net. I'd like to invite everybody to join our Facebook group. It's called W5KUB. And we've got about 9,700 members or something like that. It's really growing big. Got a lot of great hams in there. And hey, put your ham check pictures in there, and Katie will probably show those pictures on the show one night. But be sure and give us your name and call and a description of your equipment, because Katie makes up stuff. If you don't have a description, she will make up stuff, and I never heard of some of the stuff before. All right, so tonight, a little later in the show, I've got a little clip I'll show you, and we're going to discuss balloons a little bit tonight. But you know, I've been talking about trying to put a lipo battery on our next balloon launch, so we can see tracking like 23 hours a day. And today we actually tested a battery at that temperature. We brought the battery down to minus 70 degrees Celsius. Which is about minus 101 degrees Fahrenheit. So we brought the battery down to that. I'm not going to tell you yet. You're going to have to continue to watch the show, but I'm not going to tell you yet what happened. But we brought the battery down to minus 70 degrees as it was charging, and we got some interesting data on it there. All right, so let's see. Let's go out and look. Let's go around the horn here and see who we've got out there and where they are. The first person looks like Joe. Whoop, nope. Look at there. Glenn popped up. How you doing, Glenn?
Darn, I didn't get the center square again.
You didn't get the center square, and I've got to set something here. You got to set that. I've got to set something so it works here. Let's see. Well. What does this do? That's okay. I want speaker view. All right. Let's see, Glenn. Are you move around? Okay, you're moving, I think. Nope, you're frozen.
I'm not moving on your screen.
You're frozen, man. Let me try that. Now you're working.
That's better.
Now you're working. Okay.
Now I'm working.
This Zoom is it's a little interesting how you got to flip about 18 buttons to make this work. But hey, man, So, hey there, well, who's that back there? Is that Godzilla? I forget who that is back here.
No, that's Rodan.
Okay, all right, man.
Godzilla's over in the lab stealing parts.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I noticed a little smoke cloud out your way today, so I'm assuming that was the battery test that you had going on.
Well, I did smell, my friend was over, and I said, we hooked the stuff up. I said, do you smell something burning? Do you smell something burning? And he couldn't smell anything. I kept saying, you smell something burning? And I looked, man, my soldering iron was up against a 110 volt lamp cord, man.
Ooh.
That was what was burning. All right. All right. Well, hey, what did you do all day today, man?
Well, I'm just about finished up with the house. I think I can put all the paint stuff away. And got the lab going. Got some projects I'm starting to put together one of those 2-meter 440 aero antennas for field day and for some projects.
Okay. And when is field day? It's going to be soon.
It's, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I was late tonight. We were having a club meeting on Zoom going over field day.
Okay. All right. Well, you guys always have some big deal going. You get on just about all bands out there.
Yeah, we're talking about trying to do 6 transmitters in that park area, pavilion area that this year. Probably going to go with a couple digital stations.
Okay. All right. Let's jump down and see Joe K0NEB. Joe, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. Pretty hot week here in Nebraska in the 90s. And what a better time to try to clean up the bench area. And so come my turn, I'm going to show not only a little bit about a couple little projects I've been tinkering with, but kind of the cleanup of the bench from 35 years of junk.
Yeah.
And it's pretty amazing. I've got everything up and running again. That was a mess too. And so I'll show a couple of pictures.
Okay. Well, we're always interested in what you might have for us. You got some neat things there. Let's see. Bill, are you there? I don't see you on the screen. Is Bill there?
I'm here.
Okay. There he is. He was eating earlier, guys. He didn't show us here, but there's Bill. And he's down in I guess you're near Huntsville, right? You're not in Huntsville, Alabama.
I'm about 20 miles south of Huntsville.
Yeah, okay. And you live on the side of a mountain.
Yep, I am on the edge of a 500-foot cliff, which, and my antennas really are only 10 feet up, but it's just like having a 500-foot tall antenna tower, so it works great being up on a mountain.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get into some balloon stuff here in a little while. Bill is our master of high altitude balloons. Now, I guess that also goes for not so high altitude, but Pico, right? There's a difference. Maybe you can explain that a little later in the show, the difference between high altitude balloons and Pico. But I think you're the master of Pico balloons too.
Well, there are a lot of people that are doing that all over the world. So.
All right. Let's see. Now, have I got all our regulars? We're going to go to Jim next, but did I leave anybody out? I don't think I did. Hey, let's pick up Jim Hannibal. He's out in, is that Ripon, Canada?
Ripon.
California.
Ripon, California, yeah, Central Valley.
Yeah, okay, there we go. And how you doing tonight there out in California?
I'm doing good.
All right.
L2 Sierra Romeo. I just bought myself a new Yaesu 991A for my birthday.
Cool.
A little while ago. So having fun with that.
Cool. I've got a 991A. Actually, I won it at the Huntsville Hamfest 2 years ago. I don't use it. I don't use it very much, but when I won it, I was thinking about buying a 7300, and I didn't quite know which one I wanted, and the guys that donated it told me, well, there's about the same price. You can have a 7300 or the 991. I got a 990. No, I got a 7300 here. What do you want? I said, well, I think I'll go with the 991 because it has the VHF and UHF on it too. But yeah, I really didn't use it that much. I later got me a 7300. I kind of liked it a little better, but then it's missing all the other stuff. You know, it's amazing how they put so many different things on different radios. You got to have one of every one of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So hey guys, Jim here is a donor, and he's helped us out on a couple of our webcasts of like Hamvention. He is the guy that sells or has the what is it? The QuikyQRP? What's it called?
Keychaing QRP
Yeah.
is the 1-inch cube HF transmitters, and then there's the Slink Tenna, which is a helical dipole.
All right. So I'm looking to see here, and we gave away a couple of these, I think, on the show. That is probably one of the smallest transmitters there is, man. Right there.
Yeah, we used some of those, and then also gave away the Slink Tenna, I think.
Yeah, and look at that. It's on your keychain now. But I did notice there's one little flaw to this, Jim. I see an antenna connector there. You got to carry a 20-meter antenna around with you.
Yeah. Well, for just playing with it across the room, which is part of the reason why I came up with the idea, just a fun transmitter that you could maybe practice code across a room with someone, but actually still be air instead of just having an oscillator. You can hook up a 2-meter ducky antenna to that and practice across a room. You're not going to hurt the transmitter.
That's good. Yeah. So that's kind of neat. Now, of course, it's CW only. And now you're adding, let me see, I got another picture here. Look at this, guys. Let me pull this picture up. Look at this. You got a key right now that fits on your finger. Tell us about that, man.
That is the new finger Morse. I came up with the idea watching soda videos. And I always saw these guys doing these long hikes, really long hikes up to a peak. And they don't get to use the radio at all during the hike up or the hike down. Then they get, some of these peaks take a long time to get up to. Yeah. And then they get the small amount of time at the top. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if they could more easily get on the air and make some fun QSOs while they're hiking up or while they're hiking back?
Yeah.
And it just straps on your finger. I got one here. Just straps on your finger.
Let's see. Let me bring it back. Let me bring you back up on the show here. Show us it now. If you want to send it with your now, the way the picture showed, you're sending with your thumb. Actually, can you actually fasten it? Can you fasten on your thumb and send with the finger?
So you can fasten anywhere you want.
Okay.
I've tried it on different fingers. You can put it on the thumb and send with your index finger. I even tried. I found. Sometimes I didn't like to just leave it on my finger the whole time. So I would put a carabiner around the Velcro loop and then clip that to my backpack strap and then leave it there. And anytime I wanted to use it, I just reach up and it's right there on my shoulder.
Okay. Well, that's cool, man.
And you throw your QRP rig in your backpack. I like to use the MFJ telescopic single band whips. And you can just have it coming out of the top of your backpack. Really easy to use. So
it's got a miniature plug there. I guess that may be standard on a lot of your radios now. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so stereo plugs are pretty standard. There are some rigs that still will require a mono plug. So I have an option to get a simple stereo to mono adapter.
Yeah.
With it for anyone who needs that. And I even have tried. I've tried using it for POTA because I don't like to just be stuck at the bench.
Yeah.
Stuck at a picnic bench. So I like to try to move around and operate pedestrian portable.
Okay.
And it's really simple. It's also nice to have as a backup straight key that you can just keep in there. If you accidentally forget your main key, then you always at least have something to quickly get on the air. Well, obviously it's not designed to replace your main straight key.
Yeah, it's really small. You could actually put down your finger and you could sit on the couch with your wife watching TV and just have your hand down have your hand down by the side there, you know, and you could be working stations while you're watching TV. You know, that'd be cool.
Yeah, you could do that. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, yeah. Just the antenna coaxial stuff's going to probably, you know, be seen. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah, it's simple. It's inexpensive. Some guys build them themselves. You know, you can use all kinds of stuff to build your own little button key.
Yeah. But you know, hey, I mean, yeah, I could take a tie, one of these nylon tie wraps or something, and wrap a key around your finger. But I might get it too tight or something. You need to use some neat stuff like you've got on that key right there. With that Velcro, it'll come on and off real easy.
And the button feels good. You know, depressed. You know, it's not like using some of these other plunger buttons that you got to push a little too hard. I've seen some guys make some little Morse code keyer buttons, but buttons are harder to push. This is nice and easy. You could do this for a long time.
Well, you know, I bet you. I mean, you know, there's no reason you can't use that same button there for like a push to talk key for your radio. Yeah. Yeah. In fact,
it could be used for that.
I'll
send you one.
That would be a great
I'll
great
put
use.
in the mail for you to check one out.
Okay. All right. Thanks. All right. You got anything else planned? Anything small like that planned to that we haven't seen yet?
I have some stuff in the works, some other antennas that I'm working on, but they're still under wraps.
Okay.
I'm still making lots of Slink antennas. Man, those things, I had no idea that would be so popular.
Yeah.
You know, it was just a fun idea I had. And I'm having trouble keeping up with orders, actually.
Well, that's cool, man.
Surprising. Yeah.
So your Slink antenna, what do you call it? Slink antenna?
Slink antenna, yeah.
Yeah. So do you have to use a tuner with that? I would assume you probably do, right?
So obviously it's a compromise antenna.
Yeah.
Got to use a tuner. It only extends out about 12 feet, but that gives you the option to deploy it in small spaces. So I hadn't even thought about this until I started selling them. A lot of people have been buying them because they live in HOAs. Yeah. So I've lots of questions of, hey, will this fit in the crawl space? Will this fit in my closet? One guy recently was planning on using his over his the curtain rod. He was gonna replace the curtain rod with a plastic one, I think, and then have his Slink antenna hidden behind. Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah. In an apartment. Or maybe a wooden dowel rod or something, and just put the Slinky across it. Yeah, that's an idea. People put them on their balconies. I've got one in my backyard right now on a fiberglass pole. I'm going to leave it up all summer. I'm just I think Josh KH2SR he put his in his backyard too and left it up for several months. It's not designed for permanent external installation. Yeah. But I've left it out for long periods of time, and they do fine. Well. And it can handle 100 watts, single sideband. Yeah, well, that's great. All right, well, I'll just look at the chat room here. There's been a few people mentioning the Slinky. I think they've got one. If you got any questions for Jim, just put them in the chat room and we'll relay them to him. I don't know, Jim, you may not be in our chat room, are you? Or I'm not in the chat room. Okay, that's fine. If anything comes up, we'll relay it over to you there. Well, hey, thanks for showing us the new finger CW key and all that. That's kind of neat. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, you're welcome to stick around with us the rest of the show and jump in at any point and just join the conversation with us, okay? I'll stick around for a little bit. I got some stuff to do a little later, but I can stick around as long as... Just drop out whenever you want to, or you can stick around the whole time. And we're talking with Jim, KH2SR. And, man, we appreciate you coming on with us tonight. Yeah, thank you for having me on. And it's nice to finally meet you and talk to you. Hopefully someday I can meet you in person. And Joe, Bill, and Glenn, nice meeting you guys too. All right, well, very good. Well, you know, we had Josh on here for a while, but he is so busy now, I guess. And plus, the show starts at 6 o'clock out there, and it's difficult to make that drive after he gets off work to be in time for the show. So tell Josh we miss him and see if you can't get him back on here with us, okay? I'll try to mention that to him. All right, thanks.
Hey, Tom?
Yeah.
There's a question in the chat room asking how much is the Slink antenna?
The Slinky antenna? Okay. What's the Slinky antenna go for? It's about $800, isn't it? Yeah, that sounds great.
I'll switch it over to that price immediately.
Yeah.
No, it's it's $65, and there's options to get like a SO239 to BNC adapter, but most hams already have that.
Yeah.
And then paracord. But yeah, $65 is just for the sling tenna. It comes with a piece of paracord that has I call it tension relief sway control. It's paracord and carabiners and plastic clips.
Okay.
That clip in the middle, and then the 2 plastic clips clip to the antenna elements themselves, and it keeps it stable and lets you stretch it out without stretching the Slinky.
Okay. All right. Well, that's cool. All right. Very good. Well, thank you. Okay, let's jump out and see what Joe's got for us down here. Joe, come in, Joe.
Well, hello, Tom. And yeah, I was just telling Jim earlier offline.
Now, hey, Joe, your audio is a little bit lower than the other people. Maybe you can crank it up a little.
I have it turned up all the way.
Do you?
Is that better?
Not much. Just
I
speak
have it up
louder.
as much as I can.
You can talk louder.
Okay.
Can you turn it up on your end, Tom?
Well, yeah, well, I can only, if I turn him up, it's going to turn everybody else up, but that's okay. Go ahead.
All
I can-
right.
Okay.
All right. And like I was saying to Jim, that I seen his antennas and his little transmitters online. Definitely want one of those antennas because of all the little kit radios I use, and take them out to demo them, and that looks like a cool antenna. And what people don't realize is he's put a 9-to-1 balun in the thing, so that you have an impedance transform. Makes it a lot easier for your tuner to match the thing. So it looks really cool, and I just keep looking at that, and maybe he'll make me a deal on one or something. Today has been kind of busy. I've actually been at work in Omaha, and I only work maybe half a day a week now. Sometimes a whole day. It depends on what's going on, and that's usually split amongst 2 days. So besides that, I've decided to do a little house cleaning, and that's why you don't see anything behind me but our state capitol, because the basement's still a mess, but it's getting better. And then we'll have kind of the great reveal on a future show, Tom. But we can show you the first part of the project, which is the bench, which is in my laundry room. And we'll also show kind of a couple of the things that we've been working on. So we're going to share the screen here. And then let's see if this is going to let me do.
Yeah, it came up. Yeah, I see your password now.
All right. So we're going to look at something that I've been messing with. This is a small power supply, and I've seen these show up on eBay and on Amazon and stuff like that. And at Orlando, I saw somebody had these things. I only paid $5 for it, and it was at a store that sells the stuff that gets returned to Amazon. And a lot of this stuff has never been opened. And they had a couple of these power supplies, and I looked at it and said 12 volts, 30 amps. Well, being a ham, my eyes lit up, and I thought, I wonder what I can do with this. And so let me see here if this is gonna, okay, this is gonna be interesting, because Zoom doesn't let me do that. Okay, this is what it looks like on the end. And if you can see on the far left, there's a trim pot, and it says voltage adjust. And I thought, oh, well, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 positive connectors, 3 negative connectors, and then these are for the AC line. It's got ground, neutral, and line. And so I thought, okay, it's rated at 12 volts. I wonder if I can get it up to 13.8. Actually, it turned up very, very easily. In fact, when I first turned it on, it was only putting out 9.6. So I thought, well, this is kind of interesting and kind of a worthwhile project. So let me give you a top view of this.
Does it have a fan? I see a vent there. Does it have a fan in it?
Yeah, it's got a fan right here in this area, and you can see the connectors once again there for the output. And and like I said, for $5, I thought, well, I can't go wrong. It's still sealed in the box. I'll find some use for it. So how many of you guys have lots of these lying around? Of course, since
Well,
I
I don't have
IT,
lots. I probably have 300.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I work in IT and I never throw them out. So
Yeah.
I end up with bunches of these, and I have a box full of them at work that the boss keeps trying to get me to throw away. And of course, I just take a few home at a time.
Yeah.
But let's see if this is going to let me do that. It's going to make me do this to change. So this is how you connect it up. And for those of you who are not familiar with AC wiring, when you cut off that plug and strip it back, you got a green, a white, and a black wire. And the green one is the ground. The white one is the N, which is the neutral. And the line, or the hot lead, is the black wire. So I put nice lugs on there and crimped them and soldered them real nice, and makes a good connection. So I have not hooked it to a 100-watt HF rig or anything like that yet, and but it has been powering several things on the bench, and it seems to be relatively quiet in terms of the amount of noise it puts out. But I'll be holding a receiver up next to it soon, and I'm just going to stick my scope on the output, and we'll see if there's any noise compared to my Astron or the other supplies.
Yeah, Brett on chat room has found that exact supply on eBay for $20.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if he's tried it, but I didn't hear any obvious noise when I hooked it up to something. But like I said, I'm going to take the scope now that that's working again, and I'm going to take a look at the output and just block the DC and see how much garbage there is on the output compared to my Astron or Jetstream or other power supplies around here. Now we're going to look here. These are the parts for a phaser kit. Now, I'm currently working on it for a future column, and I normally don't give away things like that, but this is really something. You'll notice that all the parts for the kit come on 9 cards. The lower right one being the band specific parts, and the rest are ones that work on all the bands. And what it is it's a 4-watt single sideband transceiver that's designed to be used in the digital modes, and it's currently set up for FT8. So you can build this kit, and you can, for another, I think it's like $15-20 or something like that, you can get a printed circuit board case for it that works just like the 4-state QRP kits. But if you look at this, it is a stage-by-stage kit. So you build a stage and then you test it. But the parts are not sorted by stages. They're mostly in the order of value. And so they tell you to put the parts, cards, in a plastic storage container, and then pick off the ones as you use them, complete a stage, then test it, and go on. And so that's, of course, how I'll do it. But I don't see very often kits like this where all the parts are pre-labeled like this, so that you can look and you don't have to even know the color code, although it's helpful. And you can see where the resistors are and the capacitors and so on. Very nice layout. You don't have to do any part sorting. That's all done for you for this kit. This is what the main board looks like on this kit. And you'll notice that there are 3 surface mount ICs, and actually one of these ICs down here in later versions of it has also been replaced with a surface mount part that's already on the board. And then there's another IC over here and a crystal, a time-based crystal. And I think there's a surface mount capacitor here, and you know, so it's just a handful of surface mount parts on the board, but all the surface mount is done for you. So you can't beat it. There are some modifications to improve the circuit a bit from this earlier version to a later version, and I waited until I could get all those parts. So I'm going to be doing the mods as I build it instead of having to desolder and so forth. So like I said, once this is done, you take two audio cables, your mic in and mic out and speaker out or whatever from your computer, and plug it right into the inputs of this. And it uses a Vox circuit to set it into transmit and receive. So you don't have to have the rig control interface. All you have to do is hook it to your sound card. Now, some computers have a single jack that's got a headset thing that's got the mic and the speaker or headset output all in one connector. It's a 4-conductor. And if you can make up an adapter, you can use this. But a lot of guys that have that just buy these things for about $7. I don't know if I have it here. Yes, I do. I just didn't bring it over here. I will show it to you when I take the picture off. You can get these things. I know Wired Communications has these at Hamfest, and I don't think they're more than about $7 or $8 or something. And it's a sound card that goes into a USB port. And so if you don't want to mess with anything else, I think Windows even recognizes these things right away. So I think that's my last picture. Oh no, we get to go on the tour of the bench. But that kit, that's what's in this tub right here, and it's ready to be constructed. As you can see, my cookie sheet is empty. There's no kit on it. There's a dummy load, some solder wick, 2 different kinds of solder, tuning tools and so forth, screwdrivers. I have a clock that sets itself that before I cleaned the bench off and unplugged a bunch of junk that wasn't working anymore, something must have been getting into it because it would never set right, and within 5 minutes it was working again. So that's a good thing. I also keep a general coverage and AM and FM receiver back here, and it's hooked to these 2 speakers so I can hear music or shortwave or whatever I want. On the left there's a signal generator, which I could not use because I didn't have any room on this shelf or on the bench in general. My bench was that bad. And then an HP frequency counter, which was a $25 find at a flea market. Somebody was offloading an estate and had it marked for $25, and I thought, well, I wonder if it works. And so I bought it, took it home, plugged it in, and it really works. It's really accurate. This is my Jetstream power supply, and it has a cigarette lighter plug. So I put a dual thing in there that has a USB micro, so I could plug in like a Raspberry Pi or things like that. And then it also has another USB jack. So if I want to have an Arduino or something and power it or program it or something, I have a source of power. I always tell people to have a reference receiver on their bench because you need something that you know works. This is my very first FT817, and it was kind of a dead soldier. The power input jack was broken, and I was told by Yaesu that they don't really fix those, but they could sell me the part, the jack, but they said there's this little chip capacitor or something in there that goes between these 2 blobs of solder, but it's really thick, and they said you'll never get that out. But I did, and I revived it. I have another 817 in a portable pack, and so this has become my bench radio. So it of course hears and talks about anything, and then below it is an older LDG auto tuner. My bench is not hooked to the beam or the dipoles. It's hooked to a grasshopper vertical in the backyard. That's a multi-band, kind of an all-band thing. And so you just use the tuner with it, and it receives just fine. This Fluke 8000A belonged to my boss at work, and this was stored away in a closet. And when we we're cleaning it out, he says, "Oh, would you like this? It doesn't work anymore. The numbers keep flickering." And I said, "Sure." And so he gave it to me, and I looked up what the problem was, and it had to do with the power supply. And so I ran into a guy at Hamfest. He's called the Suspender Guy or Suspender Man, and he sells and fixes these fluke meters. And I think he charged me like $35, and he did all sorts of mods and upgrades to it and everything, and it's just deadly accurate. Now, this is a meter that comes from the early 80s, and it is absolutely accurate, and I was just shocked. And so I have this older Fluke 8000, but don't sell it short. It's a wonderful, wonderful meter, and he calibrated it. He used to work for Fluke, and he says, "Oh yeah, I'll even put a sticker on the bottom and certify it once I get the voltage calibrated." And it is, and it has kept it quite well. So that's my bench meter. Let's see here. It's going to make me do this again. We're going to look on the right side of the bench, and I've got some RG174 I keep by. This is my main soldering iron. Everybody wonders, what does Joe the kit builder use? This is called a loner, Loner, and it's interesting solder station. It is actually made in this country. Oops, we didn't want to do that. It is by Edson, Edsyn, and it's more of an industrial
I have
type.
one of those, and I love it.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and I, like, every once in a while, I won the darn thing in the Huntsville drawing, and the guy says, of all the people in this whole room that could use this more, Joe won that. And that has, I've had it for 10, 11 years or so, and it is a wonderful, wonderful soldering station. Very, very reliable. I have a big dummy load here, another power supply. You can see my microBitX there. I've got lots of spools of wire, stuff that I could not find before I cleaned out the bench. Another signal generator. This is a B&K. And then just below it, this is the Tektronix 465. And these used to be just cost prohibitive at a flea market. I remember for years they always wanted $400 or $500 for these. About 15 years ago or so, at this company that I worked at, they were downsizing the office and moving, and when they moved the benches away from the wall, it uncovered a closet that nobody had ever been in, at least for a long time, because it was blocked. And when I opened it up, I found no less than 7 Tektronix scopes of varying sizes, similar styles, some smaller, some bigger, all 100 megahertz scopes with dual sweeps and everything. And I asked my boss, what do I do with these? And he says, they either go in the dumpster or your trunk, your choice. And they were sealed up and not dirty or anything. And I tried them, and they all work. And so a few of my friends now have these scopes. And I've had wonderful results with it. It is not as small and compact as these color LCDs, but it's darn accurate and very reliable. I just pull the button and it comes on. So that's a look at the right side of the bench, which is now once again functional. On the left side of the bench, you can see the other RF generator. Have a MFJ analyzer. I found this at this dual key thing at the St. Louis Hamfest last fall, and it's great because I either need a paddle or a straight key when I'm doing this stuff. A lot of kits, and so I have both now all on one base, and I have the cables and everything all ready to go. Here are 2 fluke meters. I have the 77, and then this is I think it's like a 79 Series 2. This was one of those flea market finds where I got it for $20 because the LCD display looked awful, and I did a kit that replaces the rubber conductor thing in there, and it works beautiful. So there was nothing wrong with the LCD. It just needed this new rubber contact strip and have the contacts cleaned out in there with a little swab of alcohol. So I now have a much more functional bench to work with, and I'm going to switch back to the camera. And now you can see that, and Glenn, if you didn't see what was above the bench on the shelves, and that's all my little parts drawers and stuff are up there, and that area still needs to be straightened up, but it's a lot better than it was. And so now I have a much more functional bench. The space under the bench was full of so much stuff that my chair was about a foot away from the bench, and that's all gone now. And all my parts assortments, which are in these plastic divider cases, are now stacked into a big plastic tub and under the bench, and it's kind of my footrest. And while I'm working, if the cats don't get in there, I can use it for a footrest, and I can get to all my parts without having to climb up. And I always tell people, get parts assortments because they're not expensive. And if you're experimenting or building with building something, or your kit's missing a single part, you've got it, because we don't have Radio Shack anymore. So Tom, I hope I didn't take up too much time. W5KUB from K0NEB in Nebraska. And by the way, thought I'd mention something. Bill and I have something in common, and Bill can talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. I was not aware of it, but yeah, I'd like to learn more about it myself. We'll get to that in just a minute. Thanks, Joe, for that. And let's take a quick break here, and we will be right back in a minute.
Get out and be active with ICOM's new IC705 and its optional multifunction backpack. The IC705 is your perfect QRP companion, as you have base station features and functionality at the tip of your fingers in a portable package covering HF 6 meters, 2 meters, and 70 centimeters. This compact rig weighs in at just over 2 pounds with RF direct sampling for most of the HF bands and IF sampling for frequencies above 25 megahertz. It also has a large 4.3-inch color touchscreen with a live band scope and waterfall. It features 5 watts with the BP272 or 10 watts with 13.8 volts DC. You have single sideband CW, AM, FM, as well as full D-Star capabilities. It has a touchscreen display, micro USB connector, Bluetooth, and WLAN. It also has an integrated GPS with the antenna and with the GPS logger, a micro SD card slot. And it comes with the HM243 speaker microphone standard. The LC192 is a perfect accessory for the IC705, with a special compartment for your IC705 and room for accessories for soda, activations, or just a day in a park. Visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on ICOM radios.
All right, guys, we're back here. Hey, we got Jim still here with us, and Jim wants to give you guys a break on some of the products here. Jim, you want to tell them what you're offering there?
Yeah, it's a $5 off coupon for any of the keychain QRP HF transmitters, and the coupon code is W5KUB QuikyQRP, all one word, uppercase, and you just type that in, and Tom, maybe you can put that on the chat or the description for the video or whatever, and so they can copy and paste that.
Yeah, okay, we'll put that out there, but it is all one word, W5KUB QuikyQRP. $5 off, man. So hey, here's your chance. You guys in the chat room that were talking about wanting to get some of these things. Use his code there. Well, hey,
and it doesn't, no expiration date on that.
Okay. Well, hey man, thanks so much. We'll see. All right, we'll see you,
fellas. And maybe I'll get on here again another time.
All right, thanks, man. All right. So we're back here, and let's jump over to. Now we don't want to leave Glenn Popiel out. We're gonna have to.
Yeah, I was gonna say Joe, you know, interesting thing about the scope, that's how I got mine. I had bought one. There's a guy that always goes to the Huntsville Ham Fest that sells the 465s and that era scopes for about $100 and a quarter, $150. And I ran into an old coworker at Huntsville, and he actually, when the company went out of business, I had already moved on. He had actually gotten some of the equipment, and I actually managed to get my personal work scope of Tektronix 475 back when they closed that. Love that thing.
Yeah, I've had great results. It's a very wonderful scope.
All right. Well, let's jump to. Is Bill going to tell us what this Yasme is? Is he going to describe that? Who's going to talk about it?
I don't see him.
Did Bill leave?
He'll be back.
Bill may have dropped off. Okay.
He stepped out once I started talking. He probably figured I'd go on for the rest of the night.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. Well,
There he
Joe, why don't you? Bill's back. He's back there. Bill, do you want us to tell us what this Yasme is?
I was looking from my Yasme award, but yeah, Joe just won the Yasme Excellence in Amateur Radio Award, and it's basically, it was a foundation organized in 1959 by KV4AA, and it was used as a vehicle to raise money to support the expeditions of Danny Well, VP2VB. And he was one of the first to travel to more than one location to operate, often solo in a sailboat, lugging hundreds of pounds of radio equipment. Yasme was the name of Danny's boat. In fact, all of his sailboats were named Yasme. Actually, it's pronounced, derived from Yasumi, the Japanese word meaning to make tranquil. So he retired from active expeditions in 1963, but the famous husband and wife team Lloyd Colvin, W6KG, and Iris Colvin, W6QL, began what they called the Yasme Round the World Expedition. And so for the next 30 years, they operated from over 200 countries. And the Yasme volunteer served as their QSL manager, issuing hundreds of thousands of distinctive Yasme QSL cards. So that's the history behind it. And the Excellence Award is given to those in amateur radio who, through their own service, creativity, effort, or dedication, have made a significant contribution to amateur radio. So this year's award, there's several recipients, but prominently displayed is Joe Eisenberg, K0NEB, for his contributions to amateur radio through his kit building seminars, as seen at the Dayton Ham Convention and other ham gatherings. And he's also the editor of the kit building column for CQ magazine.
That's cool. And I've got their site up right now.
Yeah, and if you go to the, so congratulations, Joe. If you go to 2017, there's a link down there. You see Joe's picture on the 2020 award, right?
I'm not sure where I'm looking.
Go to
He has to
It's
click
under-
on Excellence Award.
yeah, click on the Yasme Excellence Award.
Okay, got it right there. Okay.
And so you see,
Oh, look at there.
There's Joe's picture.
He looks awful. That don't look like Joe. That doesn't look like him.
The ham check, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you know, it's Ham Shack. That
Man,
is.
Joe, you clean up really well, man. I tell you.
That's
you-
Tim Allen.
Whose ham check
Yeah.
is that, Joe?
That's Last Man Standing.
What's that?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, it is.
yeah. All right, well that's
Yeah,
cool. The Yasme Foundation.
And if you click on the 2017 button, you'll see where that's when I want it back with Paul Verhage, KD4STH, for our contributions to amateur radio.
Well,
wild.
Did they not put a picture of you in here?
I I need to send them a picture.
Okay. Well, hey, you're getting left out, man. You need to send them. You need to send them. All right.
I will
cool.
do that. 'Cause but it's a great foundation, and they honor these hams that are doing all kinds of great things in amateur radio. You can see every year they have a big list of people. And in 2017, they gave the award also to the WSJT development team, working on the Whisper software. So it looks like they've been giving the award since 2008 to just about every year.
That's cool.
Yeah, every year.
Yeah.
It was quite a surprise, and you don't, nobody applies for this. It's just somebody contacts you and tells you won.
Yeah, your name is nominated to the. You can contact the Ask Me Foundation with a suggestion of somebody who's worthy of the award. So.
Well, that's cool.
But it's a really beautiful crystal globe, and I didn't have time to go back to my ham shack and grab it off the shelf, but it is just a beautiful award and quite an honor, and congratulations, Joe.
Well, congratulations to both of you.
I also wanted to mention Jim's talking about portable QRP operations with his little Morse code key on your finger. Back in the day when I was driving across country between Ohio, Alabama, and California, when I was going to school in California, I had an HF radio, a Kenwood TS-120 in the car, and I love CW, so I figured out a way to operate mobile CW while driving down the interstate. And I basically Velcroed a straight key to my leg, and hooked it up to my radio, and I could operate CW on the HF bands while I was driving down the interstate. And I had quite a few nice conversations that way.
You know, I thought you were going to say you used your left foot and you had a button on the floorboard down there, you know. That's
my
cool.
old pickup truck.
That's pretty cool. You know, yeah, you know.
I can do that. I can turn the brights on and off with the Morse code.
I'm gonna try something here. Let's see how this works. Let me try something here. Let's see. I'm gonna try to see if I can't get both of us in. There we go.
Yeah, we had a guy in our club that when he was still driving, he'd strap a J38 key to his leg and operate mobile going on down the road.
It was the key my dad used in World War II in the Navy.
Yeah, they made keys to strap on your leg gear. I guess that was for pilots or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Bill, I was going to mention that probably you had a button on the floor, maybe the like the light dimmer switch. I wonder how many people in our chat room even remembers. Or, you know, hey, back when we were driving and learning to drive, we had a button on the floor. That was our light dimmer switch. And to even go a little further than that, back a little bit further, right there by the gas pedal, we had another button that looked like the dimmer switch, but guess what that was? That was the starter switch. That was the starter for the car. Do you remember that, Bill?
My first car had the dimmer on it. Is my audio a little better now?
Yeah, it's a little better.
Okay.
So,
yeah, my first car had the dimmer on the left.
So, Bill, do you remember the starter button by the gas pedal?
No, but I remember the dimmer on the left.
Yeah. Yeah, my granddad had a pickup truck, and you turn the key on, and right there by the gas pedal, there's a button that looked just like the blinker, like the high and low beam button, and that was the starter. You hold it down, and turn the engine over, and it cranked it right up, man. We don't have any good stuff like that anymore. Now it's all computers, and hey, when it goes bad, nobody can fix it. Yeah. So hey guys, let's do something here. let's talk about, let me give you an update on where we are with the balloon. And I'm going to ask the master of Pico balloons here in a minute why it's taking so long to get over the Pacific. Now, here we are right here. We're about 400 miles out of off the coast. We were doing anywhere from 35 to 50 miles an hour, varying. So I'm thinking by 2 a.m. we'll probably hit the coast tonight. And when we wake up tomorrow morning, Bill, I'm estimating we're going to be over Las Vegas in the morning when it wakes up. What do you think?
I'm showing Santa Barbara. Well, actually, it'll probably be east of Santa Barbara over the Mojave Desert, that area.
Okay.
When it wakes up, but it's definitely on a beeline for California finally. As was mentioned in your Facebook page, the sky ants, those the crew on board your little Pico balloon.
Yeah.
We think that they picked up some sake in Japan as they flew over Japan, and they've been celebrating very hard and haven't been steering the balloon very well, so they're going in circles. And then they decided that they wanted to go to Hawaii in the worst way. There they are.
Yeah, they're the ants right there. And for people that haven't really been following this, we've got a running joke in Facebook that someone asked, how do you steer it? And we came up with, well, we've got 3 ants, highly trained ants aboard. And I don't know if they believed this or not, but it's completely gone to stories about the ants now. And, all kinds of things. That's actually a picture of a W5KB-18 that's flying. Now, it doesn't look very sophisticated, guys. If you look at that, it's got 2 soda straws. You see those straws under there? They're taped under there with just some tape. And in fact, if you look at the little thing sticking out the edge there, that's the tracker. That's the tracker with the GPS antenna sticking up on it there. So it's all taped underneath there. I think I got one straw running lengthwise underneath there to keep it from folding up on us. And basically, that's it, man. That's what's been flying now for 34 days. I guess it's 34 days. Let's look. 36 days. 36 days. And, it's there. Yeah, you can't see it. Well, my screen is too big. But 36 days is what we've been flying there. So anyway, so there's the ants flying it. They haven't fallen off yet. There's 3 of them.
I'm a little concerned you've only shown 2 ants. Where's the third one? We haven't seen him in a while.
First of all, that's Huey, Dewey, and Louie, okay? Now, Huey and Dewey are always shown in pictures, but we never see Louie. Now, we're going to promote these guys when they come back around again. We promised them a promotion each time they make a lap. So Captain there, Dewey, he's going to go up to Major, and we're going to give Huey, Airman Huey there, another stripe. He'll become E4. Now, the other guy, he don't get on camera, and we don't have much to do with him. He's a government contractor. He's a civilian, so I can't promote him or anything like that. So basically, we just see Huey and Dewey there.
I think Louie is asleep on the rudder, and he's...
Yeah. He may be. So
on the rudder and the thing's going in circles. And I'm pretty sure they decided that they took a vote and they wanted to go to Hawaii in the worst way. And so they made a valiant effort to
Well, and you would think, if you look at the path they've taken, you would think, what in the world's going on here? I mean, we have burnt a lot of fuel and wear and tear on this craft right here. We've been out in the Pacific for like an extra week, man. We should have already been starting on our 3rd lap, but look at that, 3 circles right there.
Now, KK6BJ-11, he was 1 day behind you, and he went up and over, and just barely missed those loops, and he's clear over in Portugal right now.
Oh man, see, we should have been past Portugal, but we weren't. We got stuck in those loops right there. And that last one, they went all the way down to Hawaii and turned around and came back. But you know, if you look at the predictions, they were just going wild all the time, man. But they were starting to kind of straighten out, and so we were starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel, like we were heading home. And there we go. Now that's kind of one of the latest ones. Now it looks like most of the predictions are going to take us up to Canada, but look at there. There's a little green prediction that brings us back down to Memphis.
Most likely we will go right over Joe's house. So you should have a good signal, Joe. And
yeah.
I'm hoping it looks like at least central or eastern Nebraska. So
yeah.
Then it's going to go way up north into Canada, over the Hudson Bay.
All right, let me see what else I got here. Oh, there's a picture of the track. You can see, guys, it's nothing elaborate. It's just a solar panel and a couple straws. And you know, a little bit of electronics taped under the bottom. That's what's been flying for 36 days, and you know, I didn't expect it to last this long, but it seems like it's hanging in here. So that's what's flying up here. Hey, Bill, this is, you know, you tape your antenna wire to that string, and this is how I do mine. Every foot, I just tie a little knot in the string, and I feed the antenna through it. And that keeps me from adding any weight, you know, of tape. But I mean, I have to watch my weight because I'm always a lot heavier than anybody else's, you know. So anyway, so that's how I mount my antenna up here. And that stuff is so fine, you almost can't see it when you're trying to tie those knots and feed it through, and it's a mess.
Takes a while to build those antennas.
Yeah, what is this for? Oh, there's a picture. Okay, let's get into this just real quick. Here's a picture of, this is the little test jig that I built up to test. For our next flight, we were wanting to do a battery. You know, back in the summer, our tracking time was about 4 hours per day because the sun was low. And, you know, the fun of this is watching it every minute and taking all that time away from your life. So anyway, this is a little test jig I built up with all the components of the next launch in here. There's the 2 solar cells. You can see the little tracker is taped under the lid there to the right. And what I did, I brought different leads out where I could measure different things. In other words, the 2 leads on the right, I can measure, it says a total current. I can measure the current there that's being drawn. And then the 2 leads on the left right there are just the solar cell voltage. And then I added some more leads lately. So I built this box, and last week I showed you inside it, I built an insulated box that's inside there. That's a top that's sitting in there. So the task here was to take the lipo battery and bring the battery down to like a minus 70 degrees to test it, because at upper atmosphere, upper altitude, it's pretty cold up here. So this is our box here. What we did there, we put dry ice in that box and we placed the battery in there, and then we laid the top on top there like that. And then we could run it and test it and all that kind of stuff. Let's see. There's a picture of it outside. Just I'm measuring some sun into the solar cells and a few things like that. So I've got a quick little video here. I'm gonna put a video on now. Let me explain what you're gonna look at here. Well, first of all, my cameraman and I usually we get things backwards sometimes. So, Bill, have you ever taken a movie camera and you thought you were recording something, but it was actually on stop, and then when you thought you stopped it, it turned it on, and then you get the floor for the next 30 minutes? You know what I'm talking about? You get your button.
Yeah, my dad did that. For about an hour while hiking through a wood.
So you get things backwards. So I actually narrated and showed you the inside of the box and everything, and we filmed it, but we didn't get it. It was actually on stop instead of record. Anyway, I've got a little short video we put together right after that. It'll give you a little sense of what we did. So I'm gonna play that real quick here. Let's see what's gonna go on here. And Bill, I may not be able to feed the audio back to you without echo, so you may not hear the audio here. If you can turn it up on your end, you can listen.
All right, so we've got some specs here on our little breakout box we built. We have the battery in its own little styrofoam insulation, but it looks like we're down to minus 42 Celsius, and at minus 42 Celsius it's almost stopped taking a charge. We're down to 14 milliamps. And the battery voltage, of course, is still coming up, but it looks like about minus 40 is about where the battery stops performing, this particular battery. So if we flew at altitudes higher than that, our battery is going to stop charging. Charge current's dropping considerably. We should be anywhere from 50 to 100 milliamps here. We're down to 13.5 at minus 43 degrees centigrade. So I think we about found a limit here. We're going to do some more tests here in just a couple minutes. Okay, we had to make some adjustments. We actually froze the battery at a minus 70. And when we did that, we noticed the current going to the battery basically went to zero. So the battery stopped taking any charge at that temperature at minus 70 Celsius. So what we've done, we've taken the battery out of the ice, and we've actually put some styrofoam insulation around the battery, and we put the battery back in the ice. And we're making some checks now. So we've got solar panels is about 4.32, and we're seeing a good current. We've got the current set for about 46 milliamps going into the battery right now. The battery is actually charged up to about 3.8 volts, and right now inside the styrofoam where we have the battery insulated, it's at a minus 20 C. Inside some styrofoam. So let's see what that does. With the battery not insulated, it went totally to zero charge, which won't work for us. But right now the battery is insulated, and inside the box, well, actually we're inside. We've got the probe of the thermometer inside with the battery, inside the styrofoam insulation. So inside the insulation, we're down to minus 21 now. Outside of that insulation, it's about a minus 50 to minus 70. So it looks like at a minus 22 Celsius, the battery is still functioning okay. So we're going to give it a little bit more time, let the temperature come down a little more, and we will we'll see at what point it stops charging. The nice thing about it looks like it went open. It didn't short. Some people thought possibility of a short, but we didn't have a short. So if that did happen, the tracker would continue to function. I think with the solar cells, it just wouldn't be charging the battery. So we're going to see what happens here in a few minutes.
All right. So Bill, what we found out was that as we brought the temperature down, the battery functioned. It looked like it was taking a charge okay, and it would probably discharge okay. We didn't get into a lot more detail after that, but down to about a minus 20 Celsius, the battery was still, looks like it was still functional. Didn't see much degrading of it. But as we approached the minus 40 temperature, which is a minus 101 degrees Fahrenheit, that's getting pretty low. Man, the current, you can just watch the current going down to like zero, so it wasn't even taking a charge. Now, I didn't know what to expect, LiPo batteries are kind of funny, and they're kind of dangerous. If you watch them on YouTube, you see people hitting them with a hammer, and the suckers catch on fire and explode, and all that. And I have blown one up before by improper charging here on the Workbench. So anyway, so we didn't know what to expect, but you know, it could have gone short, it could have gone open. Now the neat thing about this is with the solar cell across the battery into the tracker, if it goes open, would have probably still worked up there, you know, if it was in the air, because we'd still be getting power from the solar cells, and we just would not have had any nighttime coverage. On the other hand, if it shorted, you know, would have been off the air probably forever, you know, until the battery warmed back up. So that's our results that I got today, Bill. Now, I know the chemical structure of the battery also affects the temperature. There are people that advertise batteries that will go that low in temperature. The Chinese battery I had here, the specs on it said it would go to -40, but obviously well, I don't think it will go quite that low. And it's, you know, probably pretty poor quality battery. So they make some batteries that I think it's possible. They may be very expensive, but I think it can be done to get some battery power up there. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Bill?
Glenn just posted in the chat room about Oscar 7, which I worked through when it first went up in the air in the 70s. And their battery developed a short and went off the air. And then, of course, 40 years later, the short finally evaporated.
It went open.
And it started working solely on solar panels.
Yeah.
But the same thing could happen on your lithium battery if you get down to that kind of a lithium polymer battery does not like to go below about -20 C. And below that, it's just non-functional. My worry is that it might be a short.
Yep.
And then even your solar panels wouldn't operate the board. So that's what you'd have to look at. Now, I just monitored a flight last weekend, KF4 Zulu Tango Italy -11, flew one of my Sky Trackers with a battery pack. It had 4 AAA lithium, ever-ready lithium batteries. Now, they're a different chemistry. They're primary cell. You can't recharge those. But they handle down to -40 or below. I think 40 is what they're spec'd at, -40. So what he did, he flew just a 1-pound payload on a 1,200 gram, which is a fairly large weather balloon. This is a latex weather balloon. And I recommend that he put about a pound or 2 extra lift into it. He ended up putting about 1 or 2 ounces positive lift on it, and it barely got off the ground. Took 6 hours to get up to 108,000 feet where it decided to float. So you can indeed float a weather balloon if you hit those conditions. Low lift, light payload, a big balloon.
Now, let me ask you a question. So he reached a float altitude. It didn't burst because he didn't have enough hydrogen in it. But that latex balloon, won't that hydrogen leak out in a day or two?
It's not so much the leakage. It's the UV degradation from the solar rays will degrade the latex after several hours or more. Actually, it's probably about 15 hours or so. The latex finally gives way. So what happened was it floated all day around 107,000 feet. So we're in the stratosphere and we're well above all kind of storms at that altitude. This is an interesting flight if you don't mind chasing across several states after your payload, particularly during the summer because the winds are out of the east in the stratosphere during the summer, so it'll actually go west. So he launched it from Clarksville, Tennessee, and it went all night long on those AAA lithium primary satellites, batteries, those lithium ever-readies. And it went down to -45 throughout most of the trip at night in that altitude, about 90,000 feet. It drops down a few thousand feet as after the sun goes down, because it loses the solar lift, but it leveled off at about 92 to 95,000 feet and went across Arkansas all night long. It came, it finally froze out. The batteries froze about 5 in the morning, and an hour later the sun came up and they came back because it warmed up the payload. We had 3 layers of bubble wrap creating a greenhouse effect, and the internal temperature actually went up to about plus 20 to plus 30 degrees centigrade in the package at that altitude. And the battery voltage came back. It was working great, and just about 11:30 in the morning, it was about 110,000 feet. It finally burst over near Oklahoma City and parachuted back down. And as far as we know, the batteries lasted till about 3 in the afternoon. We had 2 people chasing, and they could hear it, but by the time the guy with the directional antenna showed up, and neither one had a radio that could decode APRS, the battery gave out right as the guy arrived who had the aero antenna to get a reading. So they've narrowed it down to one property and let the property owner know, so maybe they'll get it back. But that was 33 hours on 4 AAA lithiums all night long at minus 45.
So Bill, tell me, I know the APRS got off frequency somehow. Was it the temperature that did it, you think? What happened?
That particular payload had sat in a tree for 3 weeks during a previous flight, and it probably got some corrosion and damage to the reference oscillator, because they normally don't drift more than half a kc over that big temperature range.
Yeah.
I mean, it drifts plus or minus 500 hertz, but this one drifted quite a bit more. So I tuned up frequency and copied it clear halfway across Arkansas out to about 300 miles. And then I handed it over to KC5 TRB in Tulsa, and he monitored it during the night as it approached Tulsa. So we were able to get full coverage, APRS coverage that way by going off frequency to chase the drift on it.
Yeah, but that was a big balloon. How much?
I've done those before on purpose, but he did his accidentally. So, but it is possible to get a 1 or 2 day flight on a standard weather balloon. How much does that balloon weigh? Well, that's a pretty heavy balloon, isn't it? 1,200 grams, so that's about almost 3 pounds. Just for the balloon, so it takes quite a bit of lifting gas just to lift the balloon itself. We're talking probably about 100 cubic foot of
man, that's a lot. That's a lot.
And then the payload was only a pound, because he had my payload and those little AAA lithiums plus a little GoPro camera. So K6RPT did this from California. He's the one with his son Lee that makes those SPS-13 balloons. But he did it on a latex balloon, and it stayed up 52 hours. And that was during the winter, so you didn't get a lot of daytime UV radiation. And he got a 2-day flight out of it and ended up in Morocco, and actually contacted hams in Morocco who went out, and they found some workers at a date plantation that had found it. And it took him about 2 hours of negotiations, because in that region, ownership is 100% of possession. I mean, possession is 100% of ownership. So even if it's got my name on it, if they find it, it's now theirs. So they had to buy it back. But they got it back, and that's amazing on a standard weather balloon in the stratosphere all the way to Morocco. Wow,
that's something. Well, I'm real surprised on how well our SPS balloon is doing. We have flown probably this year maybe 4 or 5 of those, and as we were talking earlier, I haven't had that great luck with them, because every SPS balloon I've flown flew anywhere from 5 to 7 days and it went down. And we tried something different this time. Instead of the recommended 8 grams of free lift, I talked to Bill there, and he says, well, okay, why don't you cut it back to like 6.7 or 6.6? And I think we ended up putting 6.5 grams of free lift in there. And I think that's been the key to how stable this flight has been. And one of the things I didn't realize, and I'm still learning, is that it seems the free lift does not, the amount of free lift does not set the float altitude. I would have thought, 8 grams of free lift instead of 6 would maybe take you higher, but it looks like to me we fly at the same altitude whether we have 6 grams of lift or 8. Is that right, Bill?
Pretty much. It can stretch the balloon envelope a little bit and then get a little extra altitude if you've got a fair amount of overpressure, but it's basically the amount of free lift you put into it gives you protection against some turbulence and icing.
Yeah, I guess the more lift you have, the better off you are. You won't get sucked down into these storms. You can fly a little bit, maybe more solid high, but we've been real happy with it. It's looking good with that, and in fact, our next launch, Bill, I'm thinking going down even lower, man, going down to maybe 6 grams of lift. So.
Well, if you get down too low, then once again you're subject to turbulence.
Yeah, that's true. I guess there's that special balance in here you try to hit. And I think we're just really close to what we need to be with that balloon.
You got to be within about 2 grams. You got to be pretty accurate on your lift.
And I tell you, we try to be as accurate as we can with the scales and stuff. But I mean, even us as amateurs working with these amateur scales, we could be off a half a gram here or there, and so I think we just got lucky on this one, and we did good. So I'm looking forward to.
Well, keep in mind that one flight that came down within about 20 minutes to a half hour, 20 miles from you. You launched that into a storm. Well,
that was bad. That was our bad for sure, right there. But we launched several others in good weather, and they came down after 5, 6, or 7 days. And I was getting a little discouraged about it, but I knew 1 out of 10 is going to make it, man, and we were on number 9, so my hopes were getting really high. Let's check with Glenn Popiel and see. Glenn, you've been awful quiet tonight, man. Anything going on over there?
No, not yet. I was thinking, what I need to do is what Joe did and show you what my lab looks like. I'll have to get some video of that.
Okay.
Show you what's going on
well, you
there.
can show us.
I've just been listening with the balloon stuff, and I'm with Bill. You don't want to change a working formula here. You've got the right amount of lift to where you want to be. I wouldn't want to lower it or change it at all, because it seemed like once you got above 40,000 feet, and this guy's been holding around 43,000 feet, he's been doing real good. Yeah,
man. I mean, we've been right at the 44,000 just ever since we left, man. I mean, and I guess the secret is you don't want to have too much in there where it's gonna, I don't want it to expand and stretch that balloon. And I think maybe I'm just guessing that balloon on previous flights, it's got tight and it's stretched, and it stayed up for extra days, but it's still stretched, and it becomes to a point where there's a weakness, and it just finally, And I tell you, the material that balloon is made out of, Bill, I looked at it here. I recovered the one that went down, and it doesn't even feel like plastic. It's not plastic. I don't know what it is. But it even tears funny. It tears like paper or something. I mean,
it's made for sushi wrap.
Yeah.
For food processing, and it's designed to keep air from out of fresh fish, and as a consequence, it also keeps helium and hydrogen inside. So.
Yeah. And, you know, someday I'm thinking about, I would like to try. There are people out there that are building their own balloons now. They're buying the mylar material and stuff like that, and you take your heat iron and you actually make your own balloon. I'm thinking about that, but, you know, it's going to be, it's going to be a little heavier. What do we got there? That's,
This is for Joe.
yeah, okay. The light's kind of flashing on it. I can't see it real. There you go. Yeah, I got it here.
Yep, that's the exact one I have. And
Yeah.
it's wonderful.
Yeah, for years I used the standard Weller, you know, and then, you know, about 7-8 years ago, I switched to one of those thermally controlled soldering stations and rework stations, and it's night and day.
Yeah, one of the neat things about this is where you put the iron to rest, it has a paper in there that keeps anything from falling in, and it catches the solder and so forth, and nothing's going to catch on fire by falling on that. And so when I put my hand on the top, it's cool. You're not going to burn yourself on that coil of wire, and it holds the temperature just exceedingly well. And
It does have great thermal transfer. We basically use these at work. At the missile command, we'd use these at work because they work exceedingly well.
You don't see them very often.
They were
at
hard to
Hamfest.
find, actually. I bought this at a Hamfest in Indiana,
Yeah,
but my coworker just raved about it, and we had them in the lab, and I said, I'm going to try and get one for the house. So
Yeah,
they
the guy
also make a rework station too.
Yeah, the guy that sells those is EAE Sales. EAE Sales, and that's where who donated the one to the Hamfest, and I had never tried anything that he had, and I'm just totally hooked on that thing. And everybody looks at that and says, "Well, you don't have a Weller?" And I said, "Well, I have that stuff for some of my group kit builds and stuff, but that Edson is what I use when I build kits that I write about."
Or through hole. This is the iron because it keeps the heat on. You know, it doesn't. It really puts the heat out towards your part. Now, I have a Weller, very expensive WX2 Weller that has a neat feature in that you can instantly change the tips. It's got like an audio plug to it. And I can show you.
And I saw somebody mention the Metcal. Those are kind of.
Oh, Metcals are production irons.
Yeah, and I've had people tell me that I wouldn't go back if I tried one of those, so I'm kind of afraid to try one. But,
well, you know, they're expensive, but you can buy them often in the surplus market without too much expense. But their tips are one temperature only. A lot of them. I don't know if there's many that are.
I really like the Edson because when I turn it on, I may be 10-12 seconds from cold start to soldering.
Right. So, anyways, that's my solder bench, and I've got that really cool microscope.
Hey, did you get the scope like I think you ordered one like I had, or?
Yeah.
Does that help you any? It works pretty good.
Let me see if I can get a picture.
It works good, but you know, Bill, I still use my high power microscope to double check it. I mean, that's nice, but if you really want to look at a solder joint, you look at it through a microscope, you know.
Right. Can you see that screen?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I can see where I
That's
could
the
use
little. That's the little crystal, the ceramic resonator on 4 megahertz.
Yeah, it looks pretty large there too. So hey, it's about 9:30. We're going to getting late here. Let me ask Glenn. Hey, Glenn, did you see in Nuts and Bolts this month or the last issue? There's a neat project in there to build a whisper receiver. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I skimmed that. I haven't had a chance to read it in depth.
It looked like a really neat little receiver to build, and it's not difficult, and it's a whisper only receiver. You build it for like 20 meters or whatever band you want it. And I don't know about what the sensitivity is or whatever, but it looked really neat, man. You plug it right into your computer, and you got a whisper receiver right there. Bill, it uses a programmable oscillator that you program. Now I tried to look some of those up. He didn't give a specific part number, but it looks like, I think probably like one of those little TXCOs that we put on our tracker board. But it says programmable. I don't know if you have to have the company order it, program for that frequency, or if you program it somehow. Do you know, Bill?
I don't. You'll have to send me info. This is a Panavice Junior.
Yeah.
Which is what I use for a lot of PC boards. It's got a slotted area that you can clamp a board in there easily. And that's what I use for a lot of my work.
I got one of those too, or similar to that.
Little board, so the PC boards just slide right in there, and then it clamps down on it, and then you can work on it. I got this Panavice Junior on Adafruit, and I think SparkFun makes all of them. I know I got this one at Adafruit.
Mm-hmm.
But
that whisper. Oh, go ahead, Bill.
I'm going to show you the solder tips on the Weller WX2. It has a little stereo audio jack on the end, and so you can swap the tips. You can swap the tips instantly. It's got an insulated area. I can swap tips while they're hot. So you just take your tip, and then you can just get in the camera. You just unplug it, and you plug the other one in.
That's pretty cool. I would have thought that little 4 conductor plug would not be very for handling. There must be some high current there.
So there's high current, but apparently it does work.
Yeah.
And it's real handy because I have one tip for big things and a real fine tip for doing the small surface mount.
Bill, when I build this little tracker right here, that little needle tip soldering iron works fine, except if I get to a trace that's ground. If I get to a ground trace here, it sucks the heat out of it. So I need more heat.
Just plug it in, and it can be hot because it's all insulated.
Well, that's cool. I like it.
It's a real handy iron. We also use that at work too, and so I've been real pleased with that.
All right, well, hey guys, we're gonna shut the show down here. We could talk another minute or two afterwards, but I want to say good night to everybody out there. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Don't forget to join the 40 meter net next week on 7180. Join our Facebook group at W5KUB. Would love to have you there, and we'll see you back here next week for the show. Check out the balloon tomorrow morning. Let's see where it is. I'm guessing it's going to be near Las Vegas in the morning, and it's probably going to take 2 more days to get here, if the ants can keep it on course. So that'll be lap number 2 for us, and then we're going to go for lap number 3, and then number 4, and then 5, and we're going to see if we can't reach 10 laps. But we met our goal of going around the world once, so it doesn't bother me anymore if it goes down. I don't get up in the mornings to rush and see if it's gone down. I just go and see where it is, and a lot of stress off since we met our goal, but it's going to be cool. Good night, everybody. We'll see you later, and be safe out there. And let's see, we'll close the show with this right here.
LDG Electronics provides state-of-the-art antenna tuners for every amateur need. From QRP to QRO, fixed stations, portable and remote, an LDG tuner will match your radio to your antenna using our lightning-fast proprietary tuning algorithms. LDG is a family-owned and operated company dedicated to bringing innovative, quality products to the amateur market. All LDG products carry a full 2-year warranty that is fully transferable. Support is only a phone call or email away. We're always here to help you. Visit us on the web at ldgelectronics.com.